My name's Keshav. I'm an undergrad in Sustainable Development at Edinburgh, and I've come here to give you 12 tips about how to live life sustainably. So I think I think we'll start with number one, because that's as good a place as any to start. So sustainable living tip number one, and it's called "We Don't Need No Education." Tony Blair once said something famous about education. I think he said it a few times actually, maybe 3 times. And he went to one of the finest schools in the whole of the UK. He set a lot of store by education. He was a very cunning, clever, motivated individual. And say what you like about him, he got stuff done. He was one of the most environmentally minded prime ministers that we've ever had, and he managed to hoodwink half the world into justifiably invading another country. So I think my advice to you is take a leaf out of his book and go and get yourself an education and go and change the world. I know. Sustainable living tip number 2. Fly me to Dunoon. Aviation is the fast. Emissions from aviation are the fastest growing amongst any mode of transport, and transport accounts for 22% of the world's carbon emissions. So why not act on this? And you can do this quite simply by stopping taking domestic flights. For example, between Glasgow and Edinburgh, to perform at comedy gigs about sustainability. Sustainable living tip number 3. It's called dry wine, and if you wash in the morning, you can save electricity and carbon emissions by not using a hairdryer and instead doing the dirty wine to dry your hair. It's probably quite a white audience that's in tonight, so I might have to demonstrate what the dirty wine is. It's a dance. It's supposed to be quite a provocative dance. I've not really got that sort of shtick, but I'll give it a try anyway. So I'll just leave this here, okay? And you can just watch me, because I think I'm visible. That was acrid, nervous sweat that I probably threw on you guys. So just enjoy yourselves with that. Maybe don't wash, you can save it for when I'm famous and that. Sustainable living tip number 4. Cows aren't the issue. So cows, genuinely, this is probably the only fact that I've got in the whole of this set actually. Cows emit 600 litres of methane a day. Methane is a very potent greenhouse gas. So yeah, cows aren't great, but Godzilla and King Kong emit 45,000 litres of methane an hour each, right? This is something that filmmakers have glossed over in recent documentaries about these two beasts. And Peter Jackson, quite frankly, is not good for doing that. Sorry. This isn't part of the act, by the way. Although someone did make a joke about emissions coming from my nose, and I thought that was quite funny, but I can't take any credit for that. Anyway, right, so what I was going to say is don't feel guilty about not being vegan, because guilt is as toxic as one of Godzilla's farts. Thanks. I never said wow, but thank you. What number are we on? 5. Oh, thank you. Sustainable living tip number 5. Go vegan. Thanks for noticing that I was diametrically opposed to the last sustainable living tip, but thank you. So yes, go vegan. The problem with veganism, I think for a lot of people, is cheese, and people really struggle to give up cheese. And in particular, Parmesan has posed a big issue for people, and understandably so. It's great, but fear not, there is a solution afoot. quite literally. I should just end that there, because you don't really need to, you've just made the joke yourself, so it's alright. But yeah, it was going to go something along the lines of on a long, hot, sunny day in Edinburgh and Glasgow, all you need to do is peel back your socks, and it's really great on your pasta and your pizza. But yeah, you guys did the joke much better than I did, so yeah, well done, well done. Sustainable living tip number 6, bartering. Now that money is made from plastic, and we've realised that capitalism and neoliberalism is somewhat problematic, why don't we revert back to bartering and exchange and sort of, you know, swapping services and jobs as forms of payment? I've tried this out, and I must say that blowjobs aren't a valid form of payment in many retailers. I found that out the hard way in Sainsbury's when they weren't willing to accept my snap, crackle and pop as payment. I should have said Cocoa Pop actually, because, you know, that would have been more. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, because it's the size of a Cocoa Pop. I swore to myself that I would never reduce myself to ethnic-based humour or penis jokes, and there you go. One fell swoop, did them both. Sustainable living tip number 7, behind bars. Wait, it's coming, it's really good. This is a deliberate pause. The criminal justice system in the UK is particularly punitive, and the social justice aspect of sustainability is one that's very often overlooked. It's more focused on economics and environmental protection. So why not try and truly reform people that have been through the criminal system, and put those behind bars in pubs and clubs? I think the bartender's probably not very keen on this bit. Yeah. There is a precedence for this in history. Australians mostly are convicts, and most Australians are reformed convicts actually. So what I would propose is instead of so many Australians flying over and making, you know, a journey halfway across the world and then doing the endless hopping from here to Europe to Australia again on working and holiday visas, why don't we give bar jobs to British criminals? Because it would save on emissions, and it would really, you know, it would really work. I think it would really work. Sustainable living tip number 8. Condoms. Wait, little pause, little deliberate pause again. I'm quite ill, by the way. Not just in the head. Right. Jokes about emissions from sex are very cheap. I was expecting more, to be honest. I was really expecting more. But yeah, have you ever thought about the carbon footprint from condoms? Because if you have, you've been putting it on the wrong part of the body. I think it's we need to look at alternative forms of contraception, and personally I found that looking like this has worked very well. Very, very well indeed. Thank you. Yes, so that was number 8. I'll give you my number after the show. Was it you, sir? No. Oh. Alright, God, no need to be like that. Right, sustainable living tip number 9. What's it called again? Oh yeah, that's the one. Is natural selection or unnatural selection. I can't really decide. You decide afterwards. So, Sir David Attenborough and Charles Darwin are 2 of the finest sexual predators that this country has ever experienced. and they know natural selection works. And in a world where there's going to be significant changes as a result of climate change, for example, sea level rises, their advice to you, if you are a sexual predator, is to choose to reproduce with your target wisely. So I think what they would say is develop a webbed foot fetish, so that well adapted swimming and stuff. Nah, didn't go. The first line was the best bit. I just like saying that sentence. Sustainable living tip number 9: go plastic free. So plastic is a very enduring substance, and it is possibly the worst thing that humanity can do for the planet, and it's a scourge on our reputation as animals. So what I say is renounce plastic immediately. Go into your back gardens, gather up all the plastic that you own, all the plastic around you, and burn it. It's the best thing. It's the best thing. Sustainable living tip number 10. Oh, are we on 11 now? No, I think we're on 10. Sustainable living tip number 10 is fashion is still alive. The fashion industry is very problematic in terms of sustainability. There's so many issues arising from it, whether it's the water demand of cotton, or slave labor, or when you wash your clothes, the microplastics that come out and go into the water stream. So what I would, animal welfare as well is a big issue for it. So what I would recommend is start wearing live animals. And animals like crocodiles, tigers, leopards, foxes, snakes, they're all 100% organic. And you would get a pet out of it as well. And you'd only need to feed it once in your life. And it would be single use, but that's okay. That's okay. Sustainable living tip number 11 is don't always believe what you see, read, and hear. Climate change is a hoax. It is. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. And I think what I would say is go out into the world and be kind to each other and be kind to the environment around you, because climate change definitely doesn't allow you to do that, and being concerned about the environment doesn't allow you to do that. So I've missed one out, I can't remember what it was, and I'm sure it was really, really good as well, but you've been fantastic for laughing at me, so thanks very much.